Well folks, here comes our second iteration of a DC universe in 10 years. Let's hope they pull it off. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of the much anticipated kickoff to James Gunn's new DC universe, Superman. But before we get started, please leave a like, and at the end of the video, if you think I've earned it, please subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. Now let's get into it. Skipping the usual origin story routine, we pick up 3 years after Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, aka Superman, played with insane levels of charm by David Corensvet, has revealed himself to the world. And people love him, but after stepping into a tense conflict between the fictional nations of Baravia and Jarampur, public opinion starts to fracture. People aren't sure if Superman's here to protect or control. Even Lois Lane, here played by Rachel Brosnahan, his no-nonsense reporter girlfriend, isn't fully sure where she stands on everything.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman.
And that's exactly the kind of opening that billionaire manipulator Lex Luthor, chillingly played here by Nicholas Hoult, is ready to exploit. With some help from his new enforcers, Ultraman and the unpredictable engineer, played by Maria Gabriela de Faria, Luthor launches a campaign to turn Earth against its greatest protector. Now Superman has to grapple with his Kryptonian identity, clear his name, and stop Lex's rise to power before he tears the planet apart. Thankfully, he's not flying solo. Enter the Justice Gang. Nathan Fillion's delightfully douchey Green Lantern Guy Gardner, Isabella Merced's fierce Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific played by Edie Gathidi, who is finally getting his chance in the superhero spotlight after he got completely shafted in X-Men First Class. Add in Anthony Kerrigan as Metamorpho and the adorable yet deadly Crypto the Superdog. And you've got a stacked roster ready to remind the world what real heroes look like. And let's be real, there was a lot riding on this movie. Not only did it need to reintroduce a fun, compelling Superman that was sorely missed during the Snyder era, but it also had the colossal job of launching a brand new universe after the flaming roller coaster that was the DCEU. Well, I am happy to report this film soars, and it soars high. So let's talk about why. Let me start with the most obvious praise. David Corensvet. This man has come a long way from getting a pitchfork to the chest in Pearl. He is Superman. Full stop.
Hey buddy, eyes up here.
Sure, it's tempting for fans online to immediately compare him to what came before, especially those die-hard Snyderverse fans, who immediately shut the door on this film the moment that they heard their Lord and Savior Zack Snyder wasn't coming back along with Henry Cavill. But Corensvet really holds his own, and then some. I was never the most hardcore DC Comics reader. I've really only read some Batman and a little bit of Superman, but I've read enough All-Star Superman, which this takes direct inspiration from, and seen the Christopher Reeve movies more times than I can count, to know when it feels right. And this just feels right. Superman smiles, he's passionate, his body language visibly changes when he goes from Clark to Superman, a detail that really shines during his interview scene with Lois, one of the best scenes in the movie.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
And most importantly, he goes out of his way to save people, human or not, any chance he gets. This Superman is hopeful, bright, in touch with his emotions. He's not brooding, depressed, and covered in a gray filter. And honestly, I am so here for this. No offense to Henry Cavill though, I am gonna miss him. He was a great actor and he got completely screwed over by Warner Brothers. And Netflix while we're at it, but that's a different property. Anyway, back to David. The chemistry between him and Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane is off the charts. Every time they shared the screen, I was completely locked in. Whether they were flirting, sharing a quiet, heartfelt moment, or verbally sparring over geopolitical conflicts.
Seemingly acting as a representative of the United States.
I wasn't representing anybody except for me.
Around the world.
And doing good.
That spark was real. Speaking of Lois, Brosnahan brings a little bit of a punk rock edge to this character that we haven't really seen before, while still honoring and maintaining her legacy as the tenacious reporter that's not afraid of anything. It's a bit of a tricky balance, but she absolutely nails it. I genuinely enjoyed all of Brosnahan's role here, especially when she was hanging out with the Justice Gang. Speaking of which, iconic lineup there. Isabella Merced's Hawkgirl gets a bit sidelined, but she makes the most of her limited screen time and has a couple of moments that definitely pop. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner though, absolutely hilarious. Guy Gardner has always been a completely ridiculous tool with an even more ridiculous haircut.
That haircut should be against your vows.
That what?
And Fillion leans all the way into this embarrassing role with a smirk and zero shame. It's pitch perfect casting. Also, major points for finally giving us Green Lantern powers that don't look like they were rendered on a Wii. He even gets a bit of an arc, which was a very nice surprise. I definitely can't wait to see more of him and Hawkgirl in Peacemaker Season 2. But my absolute favorite character here, besides Superman, has got to be Edie Gathidi's Mr. Terrific. This is James Gunn doing what he does best. taking a lesser-known comic character and instantly making them iconic. His scenes were standout in a movie that's already chock full of great moments, especially with him and Lois infiltrating a military base set to 5 years' time by Noah in the Wall. He's dry while still being funny, he's super competent, and he plays very well off of both Superman and Lois. Kafigi is just so good here, and I cannot wait to see more of this character. Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho is also a win. Visually, I love the way they did his powers and the makeup on him, and I appreciated the little emotional beat that he got to play out with Superman. It wasn't huge, but it definitely worked. And then there's the Daily Planet crew, who unfortunately don't get the most screen time, but they're still here. SNL alumni Beck Bennett plays Steve Lombard, who's really just here to be a bit of a bully to Clark. Michaela Hoover has basically a blink and you miss it cameo as Cat Grant with like 2 lines. For what little we saw as Wendell Pierce, he's spot on as Perry White. And then there's Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen. He gets the most screen time out of the bunch and actually plays a pivotal role in the story. Very well deserved for this character after his brief Batman v Superman cameo was cut short with a bullet. He gets a few laughs in and he plays very well off of both Clark and Lois, and I'm genuinely excited to see this trio together again. And of course, I can't forget the Kents. Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell play Jonathan and Martha with warmth and quiet strength, and even though they're in it very briefly, their presence is very much felt.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
There's one particular moment between Jonathan and Clark that absolutely broke me in the best way. And judging by the sniffles around me in the theater, I wasn't the only one. Sarah Sampaio was also a fun and funny presence as Lex's girlfriend Eve, who I thought was just kind of going to be a background trophy character, but surprisingly gets a little bit more dimension and screen time than I expected. She's still comic relief, but the movie does enough to make it interesting when she's on screen. Maria Gabriela de Faria's engineer is also a very visually striking villain. Her nanotech powers lead to some of the most visually creative moments in the movie. It's just a shame that there's not really much else for her character besides that. She's mostly just here to look awesome and cause problems for Superman, which she does very well, but I was just hoping for a little bit more. And as for Ultraman, the less said, the better. Not because he wasn't awesome, he definitely is, but because I genuinely don't want to spoil anything about what this version of Ultraman is, where he comes from, or how he fits into the story. Just know that when he shows up, things get wild. Now, I've been saving the best for last. Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult is absolutely phenomenal here. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is probably the best Lex Luthor we've had on the big screen, at least comic accuracy wise. He's not quirky or twitchy or playing with jars of pee. He's cold, calculating, brilliant, menacing, and petty in a way that's actually terrifying. He's the kind of guy that will burn the world down if it means proving his point, and a world-class hater.
They chose him. Let them die.
Holt plays him with this icy charisma that's just captivating every time he's on screen. And honestly, after this, I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to the weird, off-putting version that Jesse Eisenberg put to the screen in Batman v Superman.
It's cherry.
Also, I would be doing this review a disservice if I didn't mention the MVP of my heart here. Crypto the Superdog. This little chaotic dude absolutely stole every scene he's in. He's adorable, he's dangerous, he never listens to Superman, and yet he's still this fiercely loyal, ridiculously powerful pup that just makes every action scene he participates in all the more fun. I need a spin-off short film of Crypto destroying the Fortress of Solitude. Yesterday. Speaking of action, the choreography and cinematography here are just incredible. The fights are clean, creatively choreographed and shot, and easy to follow, and the scale of the destruction never feels too overwhelming. And outside of a few shots, the CGI here is very polished and effective. What I loved the most though was that in every action sequence in Metropolis, you can see Superman trying his hardest to save people, pets, hell, even a squirrel at one point. It was just such a refreshing change after the 9/11 level of destruction that was in Man of Steel, and really drives home how much heart this version of Superman actually has. You also get a sense of that craft and care in the practical sets used here, especially the Fortress of Solitude and the Hall of Justice. Both felt real in a tangible way, but very much comic inspired, and thoughtfully designed in a way that helps bring this world to life. And what I love most is how this movie balances everything. It has real superhero drama, big world building swings, and it still manages to be funny and heartwarming without ever feeling tonally messy. There's a beating heart to this story, especially when it comes to Clark exploring his humanity. I left this theater smiling, feeling inspired and genuinely full of hope, which honestly is what a Superman movie should leave you with. I also really enjoyed the score here by co-composers John Murphy and David Fleming, which runs the gamut of slow and emotional to big and epic, with plenty of cues from the original Superman theme by John Williams to tickle your nostalgia bone. Now, with all of that praise said, I do have two small complaints. Number one being a major spoiler that I really can't get into, but that kind of feels like a slap in the face to a major part of Superman lore. In a movie that went out of its way to really feel like a Superman comic come to life, that part was a little hard to swallow for me. Second, Second, as fun as all of this is, this movie has a hell of a lot going on. It's not quite overstuffed, but it's definitely hefty. And with so many moving parts, from introducing a new Superman, to the Justice Gang, to metahumans, to pocket universes, it can get a little overwhelming, and some of these elements do feel a little undercooked, even though everything still comes together in the end. And these complaints definitely didn't stop me from enjoying the ride. Ultimately, I thought this movie was truly great, and a strong, confident, and inspired start to this new DCU, fully embracing the wacky world of comic books with color, weirdness, and fun. If this is the direction that we're heading and it means that we get more of these characters and more of this Superman, I'm in. The haters. The DCEU is over, guys. It's time to move on to bigger and better things. And that's my review of Superman. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. Please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. While you're at it, you can scroll down the description, find the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know if you saw Superman and what you thought. And if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. I'll take you to my review of Jurassic World Rebirth, or just over to my channel where you can check out the rest of my reviews. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time for my review of Eddington.